technicians all over the world because we be trying to make things move in Hollywood and Georgia and wherever we can. And that's what we do. We make life happen. We make sound happen. We got the kids here. We got the best boy. I don't even know what that means. Best boy. Okay. We got the girl. We got the best boy. And I just want to accept this here trophy. Okay. Look. See the dress? Hated it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm so glad it worked out because I was like, oh my goodness. I was just saying before you came on how this week has been hard, and I was gonna cancel, but I'm so glad I didn't because we need your laughter, we need your spirit, we need your joy, we need your words of wisdom. Because even though we don't talk every day, I look
my cabinet shirt.
Yeah, see? Oh, and look at my shirt. My shirt says get free.
It's the Afro.
Get free.
That's what I'm talking about. See? Represent.
See? We're on the same page.
Only I gotta be honest with you. Yours say tag iffer.
That's true.
That's true. It's all backwards. I don't know why. Why can't they get the technology?
I mean, they have all this money. They would be able to
work on the technology so that we can make sure that every shirt says "get free" and people will be able to read it immediately.
Oh my goodness! No, thank you so much. For those who are just coming on, I'm with Petri Hawkins Byrd, and I lovingly call him Byrd the Bailiff or Byrd. People who love him and close to him. So if you hear me calling him, referring to him as Byrd, that's why. But he, you recognize him from the Judge Judy show, but he's so much more than that.
My wife
called me a writer, a comedian, a singer. You do everything, the question I have is, what don't you do? Because you do everything. But I wanted to just check in with you because the one thing we were talking about on the phone, which I'm glad that we had a conversation about your show, Bonding with Byrd, and how I was saying thank you for bringing up what's going on in the world, because this has been a rough week, a couple of weeks for the community. And I wanted to especially thank you for bringing up Breonna Taylor, because I find when these things do happen, these tragedies, these murders, as I call them, allegedly, like we have to say that, right? That a lot of times, well, they are where they are, right? The women get overlooked, and so I just wanted to, let's just get that off the table before we get into the other stuff. But how was your spirit this past week, 2 weeks and a half?
Wow, it's been a roller coaster, baby. It's been a roller coaster. I mentioned on our show last night that sometimes I'm almost afraid to open my eyes in the morning. I'm it's like, Lord, just please, whatever it is today, can we just kind of sleep through it? Can we get one day where, and God is like, look, I prepared you for a time such as this, so get your ass up and face what's going on. And as soon as you get up, it's on your phone. If you check your phone, you may be checking for personal messages, and boom, here comes something, the latest news feed. My wife and I watch The View every day, and I watch The View. I'm gonna tell folks now, don't judge me. I watch The View because I want to hear what the women are thinking. I want to hear what the ladies are thinking, the mothers. You know what I'm saying? Because I hear enough what the guys think, and quite frankly, guys worry me, man. The stuff that they place as a priority, for me is just mind-boggling sometimes. But the women, they try to bring the joy, and they try to, tell you, hey, listen, here's the best place that you can, try to help these businesses that are floundering. We have 50% off on this and all. They do all of that, but just like they said about Ginger Rogers, you understand, she did everything that Fred Astaire did backwards and in heels. Okay? And so y'all can bring home the bacon, fry it up in the pan. Y'all can deliver the news. Y'all can do The View and have different views and stuff like that, and still educate and edutain and make sure that the public knows what's going on. So I start every day with The View, let me see what's happening, and they come with it. They come they ain't pulling no punches. You know what I'm saying? You got sisters
Sunny
on there that's a
Hostin is my
lawyer.
favorite view. Sunny, I mean, I love Whoopi, but I was saying I love Whoopi, but Sunny Hostin is my favorite view. I love me some Sunny. She will bring it, and she does not pull any punches in those interviews. I would hate to be on the other end. The way that she goes up the people's necks, I'm like, yes, we need that.
I'm gonna make her own theme song. Sunny, thank you for the news that you bring. You know, you ain't lying. Sunny be kicking it. Whoopi is like, it's funny because I watch Whoopi strategically ask them. She go, yeah, so and so and so and so, and this guy, George Floyd got killed, and it's not right. And what do you think of that, Joy? What do you think of that, Sunny? And Megan, what do you think of that? By the time Megan come in, Megan is like, okay.
Yeah.
They're going to make me look like a jerk here.
Yes.
I'm trying to stay conservative in my views,
It's time that we really get to the point where we have women leaders. Women need to lead now.
Oh, no. Most definitely. Listen. What is it? Is it 53% of the world, or 53% of? At least I know it's over 53% of our nation.
Yes,
that's women. That's women.
Yeah.
And like I've always said, women, when they're making a decision, they are either mothers at the time, or there's the potential for them to be mothers, or they are connected to their mama. They talking to their daughters, and and so those decisions, because they know they're gonna get the phone call like, baby, you voted how? Wait a minute. You working for who? All money ain't good money, baby. And women gonna be like, my mama said, men trying to, hey, mama, look, mama, I got to do what I got to do.
But I personally want to thank you for that, because I see it over and over, unfortunately, in our community, especially when Sandra Bland or women like Breonna Taylor, who when their life is lost, the reverence behind them is not as much as it is the way we see it around George, Floyd right now. And the thing is, any life loss matters. Black lives matter. Black lives matter, right? Black lives matter. Hashtag all over. I should tattoo it on my cheek. Black lives matter.
Black
lives matter, like on the back, so you can get the message. But
I'm black. My life matters. I'm sorry.
No, but you don't see. It's starting to happen more, but it's still not enough for me, and where it resonates with me. So when I see a black man speaking up, it makes me feel good, because we really need more black men to get behind our women. So I personally just want to thank you for bringing up the issues on your show, but also just specifically bringing her up, because there's not a lot. She's disappearing and everything, and I don't want that to happen. So the more you say her name, the more she will stay in the forefront.
I know. And it's funny when I hear the roll call sometimes of blacks who have lost their lives due to racist violence and stuff like that. They invariably, because there seem to be more black men, which is understandable, statistically speaking, you'll find that there's more black men,
Yes.
but nonetheless, we have to keep being inclusive of our black women, because that is even more painful for me, and that's even more astounding. I mean, listen, I'm always crying. Shoot, I'm on the verge right now. So listen, I done got to the point these 62 years where the tears come easy,
Yeah.
But what I was saying is that I see it when I feel the pain when my brother dies, but when my sister, when my mother, when my daughter is attacked, that is emasculating for me.
Yes.
Because I want to stand between her and the oppressor and say, yo, no, I feel like I should do what Adam should have done back in the garden, which was snake was talking to Eve, he was supposed to go, hey, yo, dude. This is me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, you talk to her, you talking to me. So you might as well just skip the middle woman and talk to me. He was supposed to stand in the gap and cover his woman, okay? You know, and he was supposed to honor what God told him to do and what God told him to be. Well, more than ever, we as black men have to stand between those who would oppress and destroy us and kill us. We have to stand between them and our families. That's why we got these broad shoulders. You understand? We're supposed to cover. And I'm not saying, believe me, this is not chauvinistic and all that kind of stuff. This is a matter of responsibility. This is not a matter of, I'm the boss and I'm the boss of my house. No. I'm presiding in my house because it stops here. Okay, the bullets stop here. Everything stops here. I got to make sure that my family is behind me and they all right. My children are safe. My woman is safe. My God, and that's what we should be doing. That's what we should be doing. Not degrading our women, not putting them down, not calling them by foul names or anything like that. We're supposed to honor them. These are our queens, and we're supposed to, as kings, as men, we're supposed to stand up and we're supposed to take the bullet for you. That's what I'm talking about. And so it hurts so much when we discount, or sort of marginalize, what is happening with our women. The assaults on our women. We've seen the videos of them being attacked in school. White men just throwing them down and treating them like they men. Like you throwing a football player around. No. I swear. I'm sorry to go up on this tangent. But I've been reading this poem by Langston Hughes. It is so simple, and I didn't know that the poem was The Warning.
Now, that's the one where when he's like, beware when we're tired and we lock the pipe back?
I think it's Negroes, sweet and docile, gentle and kind. Beware the day they change their mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a very powerful poem.
Listen. It ain't got to be 10 stanzas up to this poem. Okay, it's pretty simple. When we get tired of it, we gonna be tired of it. Okay, all right. And the thing about it is, I'm not armed insurrection and stuff like that, but I will say that if you are arming yourself with AKs, the least I can have is a pistol. You need to be warned. Don't come into my house. Don't come into my house with that nonsense. You understand? Because just like that brother did, and that's the other thing. Brianna's boyfriend. Is he still?
No, Brian Crump, because he's representing Brianna's family.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ben. Sorry, I knew it was a B. Ben Crump. Sorry if you're watching Ben Ever.
Benjamin, what's up, man?
But he got him out. He's released and all charges have been dropped because I was like, how dare you charge this man of attempted murder when you bust in his house and you don't say to yourself, you don't make an announcement, you come in, you're not even in police uniform, and it's like it's clear that it's some like 1900th century, lynching where 10 of you guys want to come and scare this person, and the person you were looking for was already in jail.
And the lie you told. Now you asked the judge, 12 hours earlier for a no-knock warrant, okay? Which means that you don't have to announce yourself because there's a safety issue and you don't want them to flush the drugs or go out the back window and stuff like that. So that no-knock is one of the most, in terms of, what is it? Is it the Fourth Amendment right to, reasonable seizure, right?
Yes.
Search and seizure. Okay. My John Jay days are way behind me, but
yeah.
but
Yeah,
college by now. But yeah, they asked for the no-knock warrant, and then lied and said, "Oh, we announced ourselves." 1 in the morning, you announced yourself, and you got a no-knock warrant. Listen. That's the white. That's the white boys American Express card. You understand? It's like.
Yeah, I fear for my life. And yeah, I see a lot of people on my news feed, and I've been texting with friends, and the community is very, very hurt, very heavy hearted. And so, what are some of the things? What would you say to people who are watching, who will watch this later? Some self care, because we as a community, we hear this every other day. This has been happening to us since the beginning of time. But what are some things that you're doing, especially with this quarantine, with the killing of Black people haven't stopped even during this damn pandemic, right? What are some things that you would suggest that people do to just make sure that their spirit is okay? Because this is a very hard time.
Wow. Listen. Continue.
Or if you want to drop a word, because
you know what? I would start. What I do every day behind informing myself of this stuff and filling my head with, oh my God, again, is I go back and I read. I visit poetry that is uplifting and that captivates me and that stretches my imagination. I look at beautiful artwork that represents our people. My wife will tell you I am notorious with making these memes. They should have never told me how to make a meme because I take these pictures and I superimpose them with the words of Langston Hughes or Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. In the end, we will not hear the words of our enemy, but we will hear the silence of our friends. And we will remember the silence of our friends, stuff like that. And so I try to take positive things and make memes out of it and post it so that people don't just, to just be angry and to have that seed inside of you. It makes you reckless. It makes you bitter. It makes you nasty towards people. I will actually talk to some of my white friends and tell them, like, listen, I will listen to how outraged they are. What's up, Leah Freckles? I will listen to how outraged they are, and and they're like, Byrd, but I'm a white guy or I'm a white woman. What can I do? And it's like, yo, talk to your people.
Okay. I always say white people get your people. I say white people get your people because we didn't create it, and they expect us to resolve it. And I'm like, well, we didn't create it.
Right. But the other thing is, this is the weird thing. White people don't see other white people as their people. You realize that, right?
Yeah, they can be independent.
Black. That's why we refer to each other as brother, sister. Your mama be my auntie. Stuff like that.
That's my cousin. That's my play cousin.
That's that fraternal thing that exists between us, man. No matter what, we are connected. Which is why we cry when somebody in Zimbabwe gets shot. You understand? If we hear about it, we're crying because that's family. But white people don't feel like that. They don't feel like that. They feel disjointed from that. They're like, wait a minute. That those cops that did that, or that white woman that made that call from Central Park, that's atrocious. That is amazing. I can't believe that happened. Well, that's because they don't have that fraternal sense that we think they do. So what they need to do is those friends of theirs, whether they feel that fraternal connection or not, you need to have that conversation with them. When you can, you need to include your black friend in that conversation with your white friend or your Asian friend or whatever color friend to say, listen, this is outrageous, and ask yourself, what are we going to do about it? My current pastor, let me tell you now, I don't necessarily believe that, you're hooked to a pastor for life.
Yes.
It's like, listen, if you find another fellowship to go to, it's one house, it's just different rooms, you go there. If you under that pastor, you avail yourself to that pastor. So my present pastor, his name is Wes Dunn. Wes, if you're looking, what's up? I plan to have a conversation with him and tell him I want you to address this issue from the pulpit. I need for you to talk about it. Listen, by all means, I want you to talk about Jesus. I want you to talk about his sacrifice for me. I want you to talk about how we got to love one another and all that. But if you skip past this moment and ignore the fact that your black congregates, and your brown congregates may be having some issues that your white congregates are not having at this time. Or even your white congregates may be sitting there going, God, as a church, what can we do about this? And if you say nothing, nothing will be done. So here's my challenge to you. Address it, man. Address it. I don't know what God will tell you to tell us about it, or how he'll have you comfort us or inform us or educate us about anything, but you have to address it, because the church sometimes becomes silent, way too silent, too much. So listen, folks.
That's a whole nother interview, Byrd. That's a whole nother interview. Come on, we're gonna come back next week. Talk about the church.
You want to know what to do?
Because Jesus was a revolutionary. People don't want to actually do the actual follow the carpenter. They over there looking at Paul's teachings, but I'm like, no, Jesus teaches, not the Paul teachings, the Jesus teaching. But that's a whole nother interview. Listen, let's just segue over into, because I want people to get to know more about you, right? And so when I was researching you and just learning so much about you, which is cool, you being from Brooklyn, you being a law enforcement and a high school counselor and all these things, which, hindsight's 2020, I look at how your life has been ordered, and what you're doing does not surprise me, because you look back and go, oh, that makes sense. But my question to you is the love of the arts, and you being a comedian and a writer and all. Where did that come from? Did you grow up in a household that was very artistic? Because you went to school for criminal justice, law enforcement, and then you ended up with Judge Judy. But where did the love of the arts come from?
Well, first of all, my love of the arts came from, so my love of film came primarily from my Aunt Pat, my mother's sister. And my Aunt Pat is, she's 7 years older than me. Well, at the time, I'm like a 9-year-old, and she's a teenager, right? She's 16 years old. And her friends would go to the movies every Saturday. They would go, when they were like single theaters, no multiplexes. And they would go to the movies on Saturday for the matinee, right? Because you get in, it costs you less, and and back then, you usually you had like a double feature plus a cartoon plus a costume short, we were going there, practically living there on Saturdays, plus, in the summertime, that was the most air-conditioned spot in the neighborhood,
Amen.
But I saw these great movies, and in particular, I remember seeing A Patch of Blue with Sidney Poitier, we saw the Ten Commandments, right?
Oh, wow.
On the big screen, when that seat parted, we were like, but I was the only little guy hanging out with them, but that built into me a love of film. Television, the Ed Sullivan Show, the Red Skelton Show, subsequently Flip Wilson Show, and all of that. I came through all of those periods watching, blacks kind of work their way in, Bill Cosby's albums and stuff like that, Richard Pryor, listening to that, in my friend's room, you understand, hey, look out, make sure his mama don't come in here, I memorized 3 Richard Pryor albums before my mother knew I was listening to them, and but those experiences helped shape the comedy in me, and especially the ability to impersonate. My father used to be on the phone to colleagues of his that were incarcerated, and he would go, no, I'm telling you, the boy can do it. Son, get on there, do James Cagney, do Jenny Rand, So I would just do that. So that love of impersonation came through that. I loved school, and so I was relatively a relatively well read kid. You know, because I was in gifted classes, and so they emphasized more the arts and more reading and stuff like that. I studied clarinet.
Oh wow! I love the image of you with a clarinet. That's amazing.
And I'm taking bass clarinet lessons now because something's unfulfilled with me in regards to an instrument. But I always loved to sing. We I don't know about you, but we used to have these. Whenever we would have parties or we would have family gatherings, we would get the banana microphone. So the banana microphone would start out a yellow banana, and by the time all these hands had it, it would be black. Don't squeeze it too hard. You get in one of those good songs and hit a note, and all of a sudden the banana squirt out. But no, just always loved music, and of course I lived, the decades that I grew up in that was the most music this world will ever see during any given time. Okay, you have more female groups, you have more male groups, you have more female solo singers, more male solo singers. The big bands, Kool and Gang and Earth, Wind and Fire and Cameo. You just look at one day just think of the list of artists in each of those categories, and you will find that. And then they used to put out like 2 or 3 albums a year. I mean, come on, what's going on? Often cited as one of the greatest albums of all time. This debuted like in 70, 71. I wasn't even a teenager yet, but man, I love that album. And then poetry wise, Nikki Giovanni, Heron, and of course my favorites, the Last Poets. I memorized all their albums to this day. When I start off with the poems, people are looking at me like, "How do you remember?"
Are you gonna drop it right now? Right now? What you about to do? You tilted your head like you was about to go in.
True blues ain't no new news about who's been abused, because the blues are as old as my stolen soul. I sang the blues when the missionaries came, passing out Bibles in Jesus' name. I sang the blues in the hull of a ship beneath the sting of the slave master's whip. Listen, if you want to know more, you better go and get yourself. This is Madness by the Last Poets. Get their first album. Oh boy, listen. Come on.
So let me ask you this. So then why you went to school for, what made you why did you decide to go to school for criminal justice when you grew up in this artistic, and you didn't say, oh, you know what, I'm going to go into the arts full time, but you went to law enforcement, you went to criminal justice. Well, where did that left turn come from?
Who went to the wrong school to fulfill their dreams? Who would that be? Who would that be?
Is that, okay.
This guy, no, here's the deal. Okay, so I was book smart, you know what I'm saying? I was even a little street smart. What I wasn't me smart. I didn't examine what my passion was, and listen, I had a black mother. It was like this here. Oh, you gonna go to school and get a good job and get out of here. She and let me say this. She believed in me, but my mom had a 10th grade education. Okay, she had me when she was really young. My mom was 17 when she had me. And though she was the wisest woman I've ever known to this day, she looked at it like she kind of left me to my own destiny. Like, listen, whatever you want to be, you can be. Just make sure that I don't get no report cards that have any red on them. Okay, yeah. It better be all black, and everything better be satisfactory, especially in that behavior category where you never seem to be able to get a satisfactory because you're busy back there talking and
being
joking.
Making people laugh.
Right. So I had a my 5th and 6th grade teacher was the same teacher, Miss Blackman. She kept this gifted class was Call of the Wild by Jack London, and in it she wrote, "When you learn to control that gift of laughter, you will be the next Jack London. You will be a great writer or a great whatever it is." And she wrote that in my book, and I was just like, okay, you're young, you don't get it then. You worried about like, I wonder if Carol, I wonder if she go with me. Will you
oh my
go
God,
with me?
that's true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, focus all over the place. Yeah.
And so things came so easy. So when I was in junior high school, I was supposed to go from 7th to 9th grade, but somebody recommended, I don't know who, recommended that I take the test for Brooklyn Tech. Now, I didn't even know what Brooklyn Tech was. I just knew that it was a real smart school and that if you got a good grade on the entrance exam, you get to go there. So I went to Brooklyn Tech, and I spent 2 years in Brooklyn Tech just totally screwing up. Hanging out in the hallway, gambling in the lunchroom, in the back of the lunchroom. Why? Because technically, listen, I don't know how to screw in a light bulb really well. So that wasn't my race on Detra. That wasn't for me. That wasn't my purpose in life. I should have went to performing arts school. That's where I should have gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, I was a fan and Thurgood Marshall was one of my heroes. And
Yeah.
so then I decided, man, you know what? I want to be a lawyer. I want to fight for the rights of people and stuff like that. Never realizing nobody tells you that fighting for the rights of people will leave you broke, as the Ten Commandments. So,
I mean,
so here I am, so I wound up going to John Jay because I figured the road to being a lawyer would be to go through John Jay and take criminal justice. Finally, it just got to be, and this serves as a warning to the folks out there. Finally, it just got to be, man, let me finish and let me get this criminal justice degree that I have never used, ever. Ever. I learned more stuff on Jeopardy than I learned in John Jay. I wasn't never. I did go to, before I went to John Jay, because of my grades, I was forced to go to, not forced to go to, but the only school I could go to was community college. So I was in Brooklyn. I wanted to go away to school. So where did I go? Ostos Community College in the Bronx. See, you're a New Yorker when going away to school means going to another borough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But watch this. This is how good God is, despite all my missteps. This is how good God is. Ostos Community College, I got more education fighting in the streets for the right to keep Ostos open. At the time, this was during, I believe this was during 1975, 76. They were trying to close down Ostos Community College and Medgar Evers College, right? Black college in Brooklyn, predominantly black college in Brooklyn, and predominantly Hispanic college in the Bronx, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember, man, we were out every day. We took the school over. We took over the student government. We made it a student coalition instead of a student government. So there was no, you're the president, you're the vice president. We had rotating chairmanship on that. We went out there. I remember being assigned one night to be up on the roof of Ostos, right, to make sure, because we took over the building, to make sure nobody came into the building from outside. And there was a helicopter up there, with a light shining down on me and the other guy that was assigned to the roof. And we're looking up like, yo, man, you know them? They looking for you, And what do? Give them the finger, like, we got this. But we took over, and if people look up Ostos right now, HOSTOS, Ostos Community College, you will see all these buildings. They got two beautiful performing arts auditoriums and stuff, and all of that. And we took over the building across the street. They built a bridge across Grand Concourse so that you could get from the main building over to the other buildings. All of that from a school that had one renovated tire factory and one brownstone on 153rd and Morris, right? But that's what grew from it when the community took to the streets and said, no, this one we own. Okay, you can have Bronx Community. Most of those community college, this is ours. Okay,
and so they're standing. They're here still standing today because of you and your classmates and everybody who went out and created their activism and fought back against the oppressor.
Fight the power. That's what you got to do. Listen, it don't change. It don't change. But when you take to the streets, you have to be ready with a plan for if and when they concede. You have to have a plan as to how you're going to grow, how you're going to take what it is that you claim is yours and use it to the benefit of you and your people. You have to have that plan has to be in place, man. And I can't emphasize enough. We got to agitate, educate, organize. Those are the three key elements.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of the conversation on the street or a lot of articles that I read is that some older generation will get frustrated with the younger generation who's out there because what you're talking about, and like with MLK, when MLK Martin Luther King, when they marched and but they had legislation in mind. When they did the bus boycott, they had legislation in mind because when this is over, going in saying no, we're going to get what we want, and when we do get what we want, we have to be ready. And so there's a lot of fear of like, okay, we do get what we want. Are we ready? What does that look like? Because there's not legislative attached, right? But I'm starting to see that change a little bit, especially with people holding Biden to the fire as far as like the way the new politics are going. Because it's like now we're like, no, we want specifics. We want you to lay it out. We want to read all the 30 pages of your agenda, your Black agenda. So that's starting to slowly change. But I think that was that's been an issue in the past, is like to go out and to fight without a plan is dangerous. But then you have people like Color of Change. There's a lot of organizations out there that are doing that. But I think a lot of people, there's a lot of people out there who miss that little piece of information. So I'm glad you said that. And so with that, what you said earlier about look how God works. So you artistically growing up in an artistic household, singing, dancing, writing, and then you go to school for criminal justice, and then you don't use it, but then you end up on Judge Judy as a bailiff. Come on. So when you said
okay, all right, let me move this story. Let me move this story along and walk steady.
Byrd the bailiff, your steps have been ordered. Like how that doesn't that's all God.
And then I like to thank my teachers, all of them. No. So
but that's amazing though. That is amazing.
So all right, so here you go. So now I'm out of school, I got the criminal justice degree, all this kind of stuff, right? But before I got the degree, right, my oldest daughter's mom got pregnant. I was working at Kings County Hospital in the clerks in the admissions office, and it's like, yo, I need a better job. You know what I'm saying? I got this baby coming. I'm gonna need a better job. So I look in the chief, right? The civil service newspaper that lists the job, the job tests and stuff that are coming up, and I see this court officer job. It's like, okay, look, I qualified, high school diploma, I got that, so I go and I take the test. I score very high on the test. Actually, I'm a great test taker. If you ever need me to take a test for you, I charge. Anyway.
Please, I might jump on that if I go back to school. Yeah, I'm gonna call you.
That's right, Byrd. Yeah, here's my paper market. So I wound up getting the job as a court officer. Right? It took me 2.5 years. I'm like, what? Wait a minute, I scored higher than this guy here. How but
hey, skin color. Yeah, exactly. I already knew.
We know what happened. But anyway, so I get the job. I'm with Brooklyn Family Court for a year, and then I got transferred to Manhattan Family Court, where I met one Judith Shineland. And I didn't work exclusively with her, but there were times when we'd be placed together, and she knew I was kind of crazy. I would go out and call the cases, impersonate voices, and call the cases, and people would come in looking like, did Bill Cosby just call my case? And I was like, the party's on, Smith versus now because the judge wants to see you. So,
and then she looked at you like you crazy.
Oh, the thing about it is, Judge Judy always had a great sense of humor. So let me tell you, no. This was the quintessential moment between us. This is what secured our relationship forever and ever. She comes in one day from lunch. She comes in, and and on the bench, in her robe with her glasses on, right? Yeah. Is this big black officer? Okay, well, no, I wasn't that big then. I was 185 pounds. But I'm sitting there and I'm doing what she calls a scathingly accurate impersonation of her. Counselor, I'm a truth machine. And I'm doing the whole thing, and everybody's laughing, right? Everybody just in the courtroom is laughing, and all of a sudden they stop laughing. All eyes shift to my left, and I was like, "You're in the doorway, aren't you, Judge?" Yep. You don't have to worry about that. I'm firing myself. I took her robe, put it on her, put her glasses on her. I quit now, But she always says that she thought that was the weirdest moment she had ever experienced. Somebody, my size and my color impersonating her, and so she remembered that. All right, 1990, I moved out to California. I was working for the U.S. Marshal Service for a couple of years, and then a friend of mine said, "Hey, they got a job for this high school counseling position at this school, right? Which was 40 miles away from where I was working, but it was 23 miles away from where I lived. So I was like, okay, I'll go out and I'll put in for the job. I put in for the job. I get the job, okay? And I'm working at this high school. And one fateful day in 1995, I happened to sit down, take my coffee break, open up the paper, and I'm reading Liz Smith's gossip column, right? Every time I read Liz Smith, I feel like I'm at home, I'm reading about Broadway or about, and at the end of this column, I see a name that I recognize, Judge Judy Shinlin, and that they're developing a TV show for her and all this kind of stuff. So I write a letter. Y'all remember writing, right?
I still write.
Put it in the envelope. No. I actually I actually faxed the letter to her, of course, because at this time in 95, most people don't realize there's no computers, there's no internet, there's no cell phones, right? And I send this letter off to her, Judge, God bless you. It couldn't happen to a nicer person. I always thought you were funny as hell, and good luck. P.S. If you ever need a bailiff, I still look good in uniform. Ha ha. And I faxed it off to her. 3 weeks later, she calls me, thanks me for the letter, and says, you might have been kidding about us needing a bailiff. She said, but we tried it with a regular actor, and it's an unscripted show, and he didn't quite know how I operate, And so she said, and as I remember, you kind of crazy. I said, well, I'm still kind of crazy. I'm still chilling, mostly bugging, So she said, well, if you're crazy enough to try this with me, you're already out in California, I will recommend you for the job. Now, this is sight unseen, right?
Wow.
She can't do what we're doing now and see, oh, man, he gained a little weight there. He's 500 pounds,
No, but that's muscle. That's all muscle. That's muscle. That's
right. Let me lean in and see all that. That's muscle. Right? Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. That's all that. So that was it, and I thanked her for the opportunity and stuff like that. And 6 months later, I was contacted by Big Ticket Television. They flew me down to LA. They interviewed me, and the day I left LA, that was my first time ever in LA. The day I left LA, they told me I had the job. But I'm one of them black guys from Brooklyn. It's like, let's see if the check clear.
Okay. Like, I believe it when I see it with that contract. I'm not saying that until I get that contract.
Listen,
I was like that too. Like, you got the part. I'm like, well, until I sign the dotted line, I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm not saying anything.
They give you the costume. They do your hair. You stand in front of the other person. You deliver the lines and all that. You're still like, yeah, whatever. And then they hand you a piece of paper. You go, yeah, okay, all right. Hold on. I'll let you know tomorrow. then when they go, oh yeah, the check cleared.
When I show up to work tomorrow and the check is cleared.
I am an actor.
Oh my God. So I'm so glad that we were able to talk. Okay, stop. Oh my gosh. I like to thank all of the contracts.
And that's the way it happened to me. That's the way it happened to me. And then I became a key grip, and I don't even know what that is, but they paid me, and it said key grip on my check.
Anyway.
So let's segue into the writing that you do, because I noticed that you wrote a part for yourself. You write for yourself. You write for others. But I just find it. I love it, because the thing is, like, this is why I'm so glad we did this interview, because people watch Judge Judy every day and they want to know who Byrd the bailiff is. They're like, who is that man over there with those looks on his face and having those point of views without making people laugh without saying anything. So this is people who get to know you, because I know you, and there's things I didn't even know about you, and I love the fact that you are still doing your writing, and then you did the Nate Parker movie where you played a pastor, which is not really acting. You pastor every day to people in your life, to your family, to your children, to us, for those who don't know, Byrd and I met at the National Black Theater, maybe like 4 years ago. 4 years ago, and I met with a friend. Yeah, my mutual friend, Althea, who's like a sister to me, and he got me cheesecake. He got me the pumpkin cheesecake. And when he got me the pumpkin, I was like, yeah, we friends now. He got me the pumpkin. Now this cheesecake at the National Black Theater, and it's every 2 years in the summer in North Carolina.
Winston-Salem. Yep.
Winston-Salem. North Carolina. And if you have to go and get this cheesecake, that I think we just go not for the plays and not for the theater.
Sweet potato is the name of the restaurant, right?
And sweet potatoes get the cheesecake. It's hard to get.
Right.
Except for Byrd, because it was sold out, and Byrd went to the back and got it from Cheesecake. How did you get that cheesecake? You walked to the back and comes back
Black restaurants. Now, if you go to a black restaurant, you got to have the hookup, okay? Because you're going to a black restaurant, you stand there, you look at the menu, you go, okay, I have the smothered chicken wings. We ain't got no smothered chicken wings. Oh, okay, then I'll have the mac and cheese with we fresh out of mac and cheese. So so after a while, you just like, tell you what, let's cut to the middle, man. Let's cut to the chicken. What do you have? and so we kept going in there for this sweet potato cheesecake, and they'd be out. But that's how popular it is. If you know it's popular, then make a whole lot more of them. Make a bunch of them. And so I happen to know the owners. I knew them from like the first year they opened up, and their business has thrived. And I got to call them. I really have to call them, because I'm worried about black businesses and how they're doing, our businesses in particular. But the two people who own it, I called them. I was like, look, I know there is a piece of cheesecake. There's a piece of sweet potato cheesecake back there, and then I kind of looked both sides, and because I had Cherry and another friend of Althea, and I went, now if there ain't enough for them, then don't worry about it.
It was so amazing, because it like disappeared. We went in, we were like, you have any more cheesecake? They were like, no. And then all of a sudden, he like disappeared and came back. Like, and I was like, and then we made a video of us dancing behind you with the cheesecake. I was like, yeah, we got the cheesecake.
We got our cheesecake, and you can't get none, because you are the welfare. So,
but the thing is, like, I had to know you to get the cheesecake, because she told me no, and I was like, well, I'm with him, so.
Perry knows exactly when to become your best friend and be like, I'm with him. Inseparable.
Yes. Anywho, so back to your writing. How is that going for you? So wait, I saw something. It was a Tom Hennessy. Is that on hold? What's going on with that? Or were you writing for yourself? Tell me about that, because you wrote something for yourself, which I think most people should do. Don't wait for the phone to ring. Create your own work.
Right. So I was doing another movie. God, I can't remember the name of the movie, but I was doing a low budget independent film for somebody in Sacramento, and I remember the person said, "Look, there's one or two parts that you can have in this film." He said, "One is the social worker, right, and the other one is a detective, right?" So I looked over the script and I saw that the social worker had 4 lines, right? But the detective had 2 scenes. Now he didn't have a whole lot to say, but he had 2 scenes, and I was like, "Well, hey, 2 scenes trumps 4 lines, So I told him, I said, "Well, the detective." He says, "All right." He says, "Well, originally the detective, right? Originally the guy who became my partner was supposed to be the main detective, and he was supposed to be this Irish detective named I forgot, something O'Shaughnessy or something like that." I said, "Well, I tell you what, keep the detective, because they said, well, you can kind of figure out what he looks like and all that." And I said, "Well, keep the detective." I said, "But change his name to Thomas Hennessy, okay? He's black Irish. He's an old-fashioned guy. He smokes a pipe. He wears a trench coat and a fedora because he's an old school cop. He matter of fact, he has a revolver. Because he says he don't want one of those 15 clip guns because if I don't get him in the first 5 shots, I'm having a bad day anyway." That's his
okay, amen. You better have a backstory.
So I started thinking, and then I dressed up as him. I had a sports coat on, and I had a tie, mismatched tie, and I had a raincoat. And so I did that, and I took a picture of myself like that, and I sent it to him. And he went, "Damn it, that's him. That's the guy." So all of a sudden, we're doing the movie, and he's talking to me. He's like, "Hey, what do you think Hennessy would do here?" And So I'm realizing, I'm like, wait a minute, I created this character, so I can make him anything I want to. And then the director of this film decided, he said, "Man, this would make a great TV series, or a movie in its own right." So we sat down and we wrote out, a movie and stuff like that, and certain nuances of the character is what I brought to life, and so that's how Tom Hennessy was born. Fun fact: Thomas Hennessy was the chief of the Court Officers Academy, and Hennessy was the bar that we used to go to. It was on Lafayette Street in Lower Manhattan. It was the Irish bar that all of us court officers went to every day. Every day. Oh yeah. Our credit was good in there, man. We go in there on payday and like, okay, how much is my tab? Good. I'll take this $5 home to my wife and tell her to pay the bills. But yeah.
Well, anyway, listen. I'm about to run out of time. Look how
like we just started.
I know, but you know what? I gotta go. I love you.
Talk about her.